Good afternoon. President Taylor, Most Reverend Bishop Persico, trustees, distinguished faculty, staff, friends of Gannon, and especially this year's graduates and your friends and families with us today who've been supporting you along the way. I want to thank you for this honor of being able to be the commencement speaker today. Of course, I also want to extend my congratulations to you and those that have supported you along the way. It must feel tremendous to be at the end of the career. My congratulations to you guys. I want to mention that I'm honored to receive this honorary degree today. When I graduated from Gannon in 1983, by the time commencement occurred, I was already out of the city and working in public accounting, so I never got to walk. So today is extra special. Not only is it extra special because of that, but I didn't have to take finals either. Just outstanding. But back in the 80s when I left Gannon for my first job in accounting, I would really have never dreamed of being back here in this capacity, being the CEO of a Fortune 500 company in my own hometown. I really, at the time, just wanted to get out of school and get a job, to be honest. And yet I often get asked, especially by young people, how did I get to be a CEO? And I think what the young people are really asking is, how can they become a CEO? In fact, Dr. Taylor asked me the first time he met me, but he said it a little different. How did you become a CEO, he said. So today, I'd like to try to answer that question, whether you want to be the CEO of an established company, start your own company, or if you're just thinking about how to be the CEO of your life. I really want to spend a little bit of time just talking about the journey to get here. And I'll start with, I promised these guys I wouldn't drone on and on today, but I do want to start with a story that begins when I was 7 years old. I was one of 6 children in a Italian family, and my father died prematurely at the age of 46. I left my mom behind at the age of 40. My mom had a high school degree and was a waitress, working part-time. So my mom had to really kick it up a notch to raise us. And thankfully, she was part of a great family, with herself being one of 6 siblings. And one of those siblings sticks out in my mind the most. He's my Uncle Joe Salvia. Uncle Joe was that uncle that my mother had tremendous respect for. They had a special connection as siblings. He was also that uncle that whenever we needed a father influence, would show up at our house to talk to us. It seems that yours truly had a lot more visits from Uncle Joe than my siblings did. So the start of life was a little bit on the rocky side. Anyhow, I remember one summer, I think I was either 11 or 12 years old, and I would help my mother bust dishes at a restaurant nearby our house. And this particular day, instead of heading home after work, she said, we're going to take a walk downtown and see Uncle Joe. And as I recall, it was in the summertime. I suspected my mother was going to borrow some money for our tuition for the start of the school year coming up in September. Anyhow, we walked into my uncle's office where he worked, and it was actually at 900 State Street, which is now part of Gannon's campus. But I remember walking by, and the receptionist called his secretary. She sent us down a hallway, and we walked. On one side of the hallway were a group of secretarial desks. On the other side were a series of offices. And as we continued down the row of offices, I kept noticing every office was bigger and nicer than the last one. Until finally we arrived at the corner office, and I looked, and there behind the largest desk I'd ever seen in my life was my Uncle Joe. I looked at him, and I stepped into the office, and I looked around. This was not only the nicest office I'd ever seen, this was the nicest room I'd ever seen. And I'm sure I looked dumbfounded because my uncle stared at me and he said, what's the matter with you, Timmy? And all I could blurt out was, Uncle Joe, how do you get an office like this and make this kind of money? Well, that evoked that stern Uncle Joe look that he's become so famous for. Eyebrows got furrowed, and he came around the desk and he said, you know, Timmy, you're thinking about this all wrong. You find something that you love to do, and if you love to do it, you're going to do it really well. And if you do it really well, you're going to make plenty of money at it. Don't ever get that backwards. So to you aspiring CEOs, my first piece of advice is follow your passions, not the paycheck. Some of you are leaving school knowing very well what your passion is. You found your calling. Maybe it's the critical problem solving of engineering or health sciences through research or hands-on care. But some of you may still be searching. I was like you, and I urge you to keep looking. Passions aren't discovered like funny cat videos on YouTube, all right? Your passions are developed over time, and you have time to explore possibilities. Try new things, sometimes repeatedly. Eventually it'll click, and you'll know that that's your passion. I came to Gannon in 1978 knowing that I wanted a career where I could help people, so I majored in psychology. Then in my junior year, many of my friends started meeting with recruiters to talk about internships and entry-level jobs. I went to my advisor to see how I could get a meeting scheduled with one of these recruiters. She told me, psych majors don't go to recruiters, they go to grad school. Well, I didn't want to go to graduate school, but I really wasn't sure where I did want to go. So you guessed it, I went to see Uncle Joe again. Uncle Joe at this time I knew was an accountant, and he said to me, Tim, you should really think about accounting. We've got great accounting genes in our family. Your Uncle Frank, my brother, is a CPA. My own brother Joe was a CPA. My cousin Lucia was a CPA. And he said, you know, Tim, you want to help people. I get that. He goes, but believe me, when people come in here and they've got a stack of notices from the IRS and they're scared to death, I help them more than a psychologist is going to help them, believe me. And I believed Uncle Joe. So I did. I changed my major to accounting, which meant I did the 5-year plan, long before the 5-year plan was a thing, okay? And after graduation, I went to work with a big accounting firm, and my plan was to work there for the rest of my career, which brings me to the CEO lesson number 2. Hang on to your values, not your plans. Many of you have plans for what comes next, and believe me, as a father of 5 children in their 20s, your parents want you to have a plan, all right? But the reality is your plans will change. Where you should persist instead is in holding true to your values, to who you are and what matters to you, because sometimes you will need to change your plans. Nearly 3 decades into my career, I was working at Erie Insurance. I'd been the controller there for 11 years in charge of the company's finances. And my next move, ultimately, I was assured, was going to be to become the CFO, the top finance position in the company. My plans changed in a single afternoon. The new president of the company and the CEO came to talk to me about a job leading our customer service operations. It was an area that I knew very little about and totally off my radar, not part of my plans. And I questioned a lot after that conversation. I wondered, were my skills not great enough to become the CFO? Were my capabilities not that great? My future, I felt like it had been pulled out from under me. But one thing there was no question about was that I had a lot to learn. So I dug in and drew from what was important to me, my values. I wanted to help people. I wanted to help the team do its best work and feel good about itself. And I wanted to help our customers have the best experience with Erie Insurance they could possibly have. I honestly didn't feel great about the move at first. And looking back, it was an invaluable opportunity, a chance to gain new experience and understanding, and to share my own expertise in finance with an important operations area of the company. The experience opened my eyes to other possibilities, and 2 years later, a position leading sales for Erie's Western Territory opened up. I saw this as another great opportunity and went after a new job in the field that was brand new to me. So now I'm an accountant turned salesperson, a little different, all right? I got this job and had an opportunity to work with our sales force throughout 8 of our western states. Now these 2 roles gave me a breadth of experience that prepared me to be the CEO. It took me almost 30 years to see that I could let go of my plans while holding true to my values, and that it would all work out okay. The last lesson I'd like to leave you with is make meatballs. I said that, it's right, make meatballs. Okay. As a kid, growing up in an extended Italian family, I spent a lot of time at my grandmother's kitchen table. We lived less than a couple homes away. I could cross a very narrow alley and be in her garden in about 10 seconds. and I could be in her kitchen in about less than a minute. Now, when you're making meatballs, you don't have to think a lot. Just stand there rolling meatballs. So what happens is, while you're busy with your hands, great conversations and relationships ensue. And being of the Italian descent, many of the relationships in my family and among my friends center around cooking, things like making meatballs. That connection between families, friends, co-workers, communities is really a lifeline. The relationships you make and sustain will be more valuable to you than anything else you do in your life. But that's only part of what I mean about making meatballs. In my life, making meatballs is synonymous with giving back, and it's something that I know is taken very seriously here at Gannon University. I grew up in Erie in a neighborhood known as Little Italy, about a mile south of here. My wife and I still attend Mass and are very active in the parish at St. Paul's there. Every August, we take a week off of work and we make a lot of meatballs, about 10,000. We make about 1,200 pounds of sausage and a ton of desserts for the St. Paul's Italian Festival. I joined my siblings there, my cousins, my friends, old neighbors that I grew up with, all supporting the community that helped shape us. Little Italy is in my blood, and Erie, Pennsylvania is in my blood, just as my family is in my blood. And when something is a part of you, you take care of it. As an alumnus, I'm very proud of the difference Gannon has made in the community and the difference many of you have made during your time here at Gannon and as part of the Erie community. And I hope many of you will choose to make Erie your home. Over the past year and a half, I've gotten to spend a lot of time with Dr. Taylor as part of the work we're doing, along with other leaders in business, healthcare, nonprofit organizations, etc. And I'm thrilled to partner with Gannon and others in launching the effort to create a more vibrant and dynamic downtown Erie. I'm really thrilled because this is my passion, helping others. It's something that matters to me, as does giving back. Hey, Keith, we're making meatballs. That's good, huh? So there you have my story. How do you become the CEO? Follow your passion, hold tight to your values, knowing that your plans may change, and whether you make meatballs or build houses, whether you offer legal advice or health services, whether you stand up a community garden or stand against violence in our schools, whatever your plans are beyond this day, find a way to carry the Gannon spirit and to give back. God bless and congratulations.